Like, I don't even think we should be celebrating Thanksgiving in 2022, let alone
I don't either. It should be, I think it's Indigenous Day or something something to that effect.
Yeah.
Instead of
I
don't celebrate that
arrival of the colonizers.
Yeah, I don't celebrate the colonizers anymore.
Nope.
Now that I'm
woke.
I'm woke, Sarah.
I will take any damn reason to get together and eat a bunch of good food, though.
Oh, hell yeah.
We just need to call it something else.
It something different.
Yep.
Perhaps I could use this as an excuse to go to those far-off planets with little polka-dotted people if necessary, and be able to talk about love, war, nature, God, sex, all those things that go to make up the excitement of the human condition.
I'm Captain James Kirk. Mr. Spock.
Your move, Captain. Jim Kirk of the Enterprise.
What's going on? I'm James Kirk. These people are my friends and my shipmates. Leave my crew alone.
Out of the question.
How about that? James Kirk.
It fits like a glove, Captain.
Oh, the bonehead ideas. Gentlemen, I'm Captain James Kirk. Get out of my chair. Get out of it now.
My greetings and felicitations, Captain. So good of you and your officers to, drop in. Absolutely smashing.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Humanist Trek. It's a Star Trek podcast about the humanism in Star Trek. I'm Sarah Ray.
And I'm Allie Ashmead.
And welcome to our 4th episode. We're doing pretty good here.
Woo-hoo!
That's great. If I sound a little different, you may notice, I have been sick all fucking week. And it's crazy because we went to like a flea market, right? Mm-hmm. And it was huge. I went with my parents when they were here. Mm-hmm. It's the Mile High Flea Market.
Where's that?
It's about 20 minutes from here. Just
somewhere
like down
in
the
Denver?
highway. Yeah, right. Kind of edge of Denver, on the east side. And huge place. And it's like half outside and half are like garage doors that people have rented, and they just keep their shit there.
Right.
So it's kind of indoor, outdoor. I went with my parents when they were here and it was awful. There was like hardly anyone there. It was a Friday or Saturday.
I was going to say, was it on the weekend or during the week?
And we finally asked the lady and we're like, what gives? Like, there's nobody here. And she was like, oh yeah, there's never anybody here. You come on Sunday. Sunday's the day. And we're like, all right, cool. So we got the day. And so Becca and I went last week. I don't know when it was. Mm-hmm. And that's the only time like we've been around groups of other people. So
you think that's where you got sick?
Either that or we had like a cold snap. And so when I grew up in Illinois, right? And anytime the weather would change real hard, I would get sick. And I would be like on the couch, just I'm dying sick. Right. Yeah. So it could have been that. I don't know. But like since before COVID, that was the last time I've been sick was before COVID because we were all at home and we were all, when you did go out, you wore your mask. Those of us that are smart did. And then you know who you are. We're protecting ourselves and protecting each other. And, that has the added effect of not transmitting other illnesses that are, contagious. So
100%.
Yeah. So cases of, the flu and the common cold and whatever, like all of that stuff goes down because we're all not sharing the air. So anyway, I got sick and that's why I sound like this. And I hate it because as a trans woman, like I hate that I didn't transition before puberty.
Yeah.
I like that. If there's like one thing that kind of sticks in my craw sometimes, like I am well adjusted. I'm happy. I love who I am. I'm out and proud. But if I could go back and do it again, I would have transitioned before puberty because once your voice drops, you don't fix that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like they can do surgery on your vocal cords, but that's super dangerous and super expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of trans women go through classes and
to learn how to
kind of feminize your voice a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, you bring it up in
that's cool.
Soften a little bit. And they teach you, it's like if I assume if you went to classes to learn a dialect or something, right? It's kind of like that. So
well, that's cool. I didn't know that.
And I thought, I'm like, okay, that's good for some people, and it's not for me. So this is who I am. This is what I sound like. But then when I get sick,
you're Barry White.
I get Barry White sick. And I fucking hate that. So there we go.
It's fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, you care about it more. Nobody is going to. Nobody's bothered by it. Not the people who love you, but it's just you, I'm
up in my head.
You're in your head. Yeah.
Well, so much of being a trans person in the generation that I grew up, right, where we didn't have role models and there weren't people actually out there doing it. So you couldn't see it as a possibility. Like passing was such a huge deal. Mm-hmm. And it's a dumb concept, and we've kind of thrown it away now, and it's just like, be yourself, and who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
But when I was going through it, and so there's a little bit of that still in the back of my head that's like, passing, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
I get it.
Yeah. So
you're fine. You sound fine.
What's been going on with you?
And you sound like Sarah. Oh my gosh, what? Nothing really. I've been kicking my own ass in Taekwondo class. I've been doing Taekwondo since April. It started out as I'm just going to take a class. My boss recommended that I get rid of my stress. And she's like, well,
exercise is a great way to do that. Sure. Yeah.
And she's like, maybe you should go punch and kick something. And I was thinking,
and you were like, white men?
No, or just, well, no, I don't want to end up in jail because we know it.
Yeah, that's fair. You're right.
But I was just thinking, okay, kickboxing class, like did some poking around and I thought about that. And then I saw Taekwondo because, you kick and punch. And I've always wanted to do a martial arts, used to watch the Kung Fu movies back in the 80s. They were terrible. And my brother and I would, play ninja and do that kind of stuff. So, but I'm like, am I too old? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to, you never know how much time you have left.
That's
and I'm not going to worry about how old I am. I'm at the age now where I don't really care. I don't care about being embarrassed. Mm-hmm. So signed up for Taekwondo. Got my first stripe 3 months in, and then I just got my yellow belt.
Nice.
And now we're doing 5 days a week and sparring, and I come home and I'm aching, but it feels great. It feels great.
I got thinking about this a lot because you mentioned sparring, and that's the part I don't think I like.
So okay, I know why,
right? Because I want to. You put the little thing in front of me and let me like punch and kickbox it and do like that kind of stuff. I'm down.
Yeah,
but when it's like, okay, you and some other, let's go.
I actually agree with you a little bit there. One of the reasons I didn't want to do like Brazilian jiu-jitsu is that's where they do the like on the floor grappling, your like head stuck in somebody's armpit or their crotch.
Yeah, okay.
No, that's not for me. But the sparring here is you're just fake hitting or kicking someone. You're not like all up in their shit. Right. So it's not too bad. And we're wearing pads and stuff. So you're not going to get a full kick. But so sparring class is kind of cool because it just teaches you how to get out of the way very quickly. And then how to have your feet planted so that you're able to kick or punch or do something. Mm-hmm. So foot placement is I had no idea. Foot placement is so important when you're punching to get that leverage. And if your feet aren't right, you're going to not have as much power in your punch. Or you're going to fucking trip over your own feet. I mean, all that stuff matters, and that's what they're teaching you in the sparring class. So it was cool, but we did a lot of bouncing, and my calves are cramped. They're cramping. I'm like, have you ever had your feet actually hurt, like, not just like the bottom, but like
the whole
fucking foot? Like, so that was like really tough today. But so yeah, it's been fun. That's what I've been doing this week, like every single evening.
That's awesome. Well, there is a scene coming up in our episode on Charlie X that ties well right into that story. Oh, cool. So well done. All right. So let's get here to talk about the episode we came here to discuss today. It is the original series, Star Trek Episode 3, and I'm using Paramount Plus naming convention, right? Because that's what we're watching it on, and it keeps it straight in my mind. I get it.
Okay.
The Cage is technically episode 80 or whatever because it was never released, blah, blah, blah. But it is in Paramount Plus episode 1, 2, 3. So we're on number 3, Charlie X.
Sir, contact with an object. It's moving toward us. No visual contact yet.
Deflectors, full intensity.
Mr. Sulu, yes, Captain. Anything on your scanners?
It's coming at light speed.
Collision course, visual contact.
Anything, over?
All wavelengths dominated by ionization effects, sir.
All engines full stop.
The Enterprise is pulling alongside the cargo vessel Antares. Captain Raymart and Navigator Tom Nellis are beaming over to the Enterprise. And they're still wearing these velour shirts, right? Like I think, and I think this episode may be the first appearance of Kirk's like alternate tunic. Did you notice that? It's the one. So in Strange New Worlds later on, Anson Mount wears this as like a callback to, but so it is it is the tunic, but this one's got like doilies or some shit on the shoulders. And
okay, now I'm going to have to go back and look.
And then it's got like kind of a crossbody cut, like a wrap.
Oh,
right?
Those are the wraps.
And then it had the delta was actually down by their hip, not up on the chest.
Yep.
I think this is the first time that we saw that. So these guys from the Antares beam over with a teenager named Charlie Evans. Now, there's only one crew person operating the transporter this time. So remember, in the Cage, there were 2, right? And they had to like work together to make the thing go. Now there's only 1.
Yep.
So how does a transporter work? And Charlie does this like creepy eye thing.
I had to rewind it and say, like, did I see that? So as they're making introductions to, Charlie and Kirk, Kirk has his back to this boy. And the boy his eyes do something funky. It's like they roll back in his head.
And he like leans down.
Oh my God.
And kind of rolls his eyes back up in the.
It's the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
It is the creepiest thing.
So, but Kirk missed it, but the men from the Antares, they saw it. But they know. And so his eyes like roll back in his head like Damien or something from The Exorcist. And then the 2 from the Antares, they see it and they seem nervous and they're gushing about this boy. They're like, oh yeah, he's great, blah, 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 blah. And they're talking about how wonderful it was to have him on board and how... And how
really going on about how great this kid is.
Okay, I was like, okay, they want to get rid of him. They want to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's super obvious.
And so they also mentioned how everyone was killed on the boy's planet. So they took him in.
Yes. Oh, so Charlie asks how many people are on the ship.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which I thought was interesting. And it's he says it's over 428. And Charlie finds this exciting.
And they're humans like me, he said, and because I don't think besides the Antares, he hadn't been in contact with a lot of humans.
Right. So Charlie seems like he's not gotten any social conditioning, or like maybe he's got some type of disability. Clearly he doesn't pick up on other people's social cues. And he doesn't seem to know how to interact with others very well.
Yeah.
And this will come back when we do our wrap up at the end, because it took me a long time to figure out, like, I felt 14 different types of ways about this before I got to where I landed.
Same. I was going to say, you might hear me call this boy a lot of names,
yeah,
but I don't, but at the end, it's, my feelings are completely 180.
Yeah. So these guys from the Antares can't get off the Enterprise fucking fast enough. Kirk offers them entertainment tapes. So there's like apparently there's a room on the Enterprise somewhere with a box of VHS tapes, right? And it's just like all the old Disney classics in this box, and then there's another box with a bunch of porn in it. And he offers them Saurian brandy and supplies, and they're like, "Nope,
gotta go, peace out."
Meanwhile, Yo Woman Rand has arrived, and Charlie's been ogling her. She's got this basket weave hairdo thing going on that's like very 1960s, like super, super tall, and then it looks like a woven basket.
Yeah, and did they put something inside the hair to make it? I don't know how that they ever did that hairstyle, but it's huge.
They had to have. There's got to be like a foam triangle or something up in there.
I don't know. But yeah, he's like got the hots for her, but also she's a human girl. He's human. And like you said,
and there's a moment
idea.
that he's like, are you a girl?
Yeah.
And Rand doesn't answer. So Charlie asks Kirk, and Kirk's like, that's a girl.
He's super creepy.
Let's also talk a minute here about calling grown-ass women girls. Can we stop that? Because people still doing it.
Yeah.
Knock that shit off.
I probably am guilty of it too, depending on the circumstance. And so I'm like, I'm guilty. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can all learn and change our language.
But there's a lot of that through this episode. After the theme, we get a captain's log where we learn that Charlie was the sole survivor of a transport crash 14 years ago. And he's been alone from basically age 3. So that explains the social awkwardness.
Yeah.
Okay. So like...
I knew that, but I don't think it's sunk. It
took a while.
sunk in. It didn't sink in how that would affect him.
Right.
Until the end. But knowing the background, it did not click for me that... Not really.
Right.
But yeah.
In sick bay, they're doing a physical assessment, and I just love this leg press in the wall thing. I think we get to see Kirk use that at some point, and all I could think was like, could you imagine Picard using that?
No, I couldn't. He's too. No, he wouldn't.
No.
But so they. So I guess they examined Charlie, but because he was alone on the planet since he was 3, the way he survived was he found, I think, food in the replicator.
Right.
Eventually ran out, but he learned to talk from the ship's databanks. And then when McCoy is checking him out, he's like, "Do you like me?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "The other people on the other ship didn't like me." And, he's got these piercing, another actor with piercing blue eyes again. But because he just really wants people to like him.
Yeah. And he's like, there's a lot of good face acting here from this guy.
He's
like
props,
throughout the whole episode.
Props to this actor.
He really played off this awkwardness.
Yeah.
There were some things too when McCoy's asking him these questions, like the shipwreck, you couldn't have possibly lasted 14 years. And he has an explanation for this each time. But then McCoy says something awkward, like he says, "Oh, all right, you're 4-0. And I was like, 4-0? What the fuck does that mean? I had never heard that before. I don't know if that's like military medical speak.
No idea myself.
But he says 4-0, 100%, sound of wind and limb. Who talks like that?
McCoy.
Apparently. Yeah. So then we're in the hallway, and there are some crewmen guiding what looks like PVC conduit down through the floor. They're like pulling this pipe down through the floor.
Right.
And I thought this set, that's really weird to me. Right. Because I'm like zooming out. Right. And okay, now we have a whole starship of decks stacked on top of each other.
Right.
How far down does this thing go? And it's like right through the hallway. And
that like slanted, is it a Jeffries tube?
Well, the Jeffries tube is a different thing.
Okay, that's that slanted thing, conduit.
This came from a hole in the ceiling.
Okay.
Into a hole. They cut up close to it, to the hole in the floor, and there was like a square hole cut in the floor that they're feeding this thing down in, and Charlie leans down and he's looking down in it. And I'm like, what the fuck is this pipe for, and where is it going? Like
they had to have a reason put them in the hallway and act like worker dudes. I don't know.
So then, I don't think that little grate in the floor that it's going through, I don't think you ever see that on a starship ever again.
No, never a grate in the floor in the hallway.
So then the very next scene, they're coming down the angled Jeffries tube.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very confused. Did the hatch lead into the Jeffries tube? Did they have to come down a floor? So they went down the Jeffries tube instead of taking a shuttle, the turbo lift.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go to the elevator?
Because it's right next to it. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
So I wasn't sure why they were in a Jeffries tube, but they get out of the Jeffries tube. And then one crewman says to the other, this is almost like a joke setup. One crewman says, I'll put all the equipment away. I'll see you in the rec room. Mm-hmm. And the other crewman says, you've got a deal, friend. And it smacks him on the ass.
Yep.
Okay.
And of course, Charlie is a sponge.
He's watching.
He's watching and he's like looking. He doesn't understand the nuances of human interaction, but he's learning because he's never been around humans before.
Sir, this is a workplace, not a locker room.
Right.
But although it's not exactly appropriate in the locker room either. Like look, if I went to work and somebody was like, sure thing, buddy, and smacked me on the ass, not in the workplace.
Yeah,
sir.
that's
They're
that
at work.
does not go today.
No.
But he doesn't know what's appropriate, what isn't. He just sees people doing it and he's like, hey, I'm going to try that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. And who does he try it on?
And consent is very important,
yeah, of
kids.
course.
Let's take this. This is the lesson to take away.
Right.
Consent is very important. You don't just go hitting each other on the ass.
Right. So he goes, he brings Janet a present. I guess he meets her in the hallway, but he had conjured up this present for Janice.
Mm.
And it's like perfume or something, and it happens to be her favorite. Like, how did he know what her favorite perfume was? Again, he's never been around humans. How would he know?
Did you see that prop though? I thought that prop was really cool. It was
the bottle.
It looked like a glass, like a light bulb with green liquid in it.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
That's the only reason I knew it was perfume, because I don't think they said what it was. Yeah.
Right.
He's like, She was like, there's none in the ship's store. Where did you get it?
She asked him where he got it, and he just brushes that off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little bit of a nod to the audience of like, hey, something's like beyond the obvious, not quite right with this kid.
Yeah,
something's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did he know like what her favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. Stalker, creepy.
And then why would she tell him what time she gets off work? Janice.
Because
Janice.
he was...
Janice,
I know. Yes.
You don't tell your stalkers shit like that.
She thinks he's an innocent boy, know?
Right, yeah.
And he's just being really clingy right now. And it's like, please hang out, So, of course, if we women, we feel sorry for they make us feel guilty that we're not paying them enough attention. So we concede and we're like, well, you know, instead of saying no.
And it was smart, at least, that she was like, here's when I get off. We can meet in the rec room,
right,
where it's bright and there's lots of people.
Janice is smart that
you're
way.
Right.
She's like, you ain't coming to my room, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So that was smart. So then they say goodbye, and he says, and what does he do? He's learned from these other two idiots in the hallway. You've got a deal, friend, and he slaps her on the ass. And I'm like, oh, she's appalled.
And she's pissed.
Appalled, pissed, yes.
And Charlie doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why. So,
well, at least she did turn around and right then reprimand him for that.
Oh yeah,
and
Charlie,
she says,
no.
And then she goes directly to Kirk and McCoy, which I'm glad she does it.
Well, yes. So there's a lot of things that come up in this episode that annoyed me a little bit. And this is kind of, I think, where it starts, where he's like, I don't understand why. And she was like, well, you should probably go talk to Kirk or McCoy and tell them what you did.
Right.
And let them explain it.
Yeah.
Just tell him. Just say it.
Yeah.
I guess,
why did she do that? Like, why didn't she say it? That's a good point.
Right. Because you need a man to explain it to you, like because you're a man and you need a man to. Or
you're not going to believe me if I tell you that this is wrong.
I just didn't feel right about it. So like in general, and this comes up again and again in this episode, like if there's one thing I can get people to take away is like your kids will understand a whole lot more than you think they do. Talk to them.
Right.
Talk to them, honest, open. Like, don't sugarcoat it. Don't make up, fun names for genitalia. Like there are medically prescribed words for these parts,
and
just like it is
wrong with them.
Fucking elbow and pinky or whatever. Like, and there's nothing wrong with them. And I mean, I hadn't even thought about this far down the rabbit hole, but like having those conversations and using that kind of language actually, in the end, helps a lot of kids not be victims of or recognize sexual violence against them.
Right.
And so talk to kids. That's all I'm saying. Don't this episode.
Don't push them off and put that responsibility on someone else.
Through this episode, there is somebody who's like, oh, I don't want to talk to him about the thing that's hard to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, there's an old like movie trope of the father and the son sitting down on the bed together, you know, on the side of the bed, and
the birds
and the bees. And let me tell you about the, you know, don't just have open, honest conversations with your kids. Okay. Yeah. So that'll come back. Sorry. You get to hear that rant 2 or 3 more times. So then we're back on the bridge. And we get our first real McCoy and Spock rap battle.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about Thasians, though we don't really know what Thasians are yet. And Kirk assigns McCoy. See, here we go. This is it. Kirk assigns McCoy to explain puberty to Charlie. And McCoy's like, whoa, no, not me. And it just pissed me off right again. Like, why are adults so fucking squeamish about talking to their kids about sex? And I can't get, like, I get that this isn't anyone on the ship's child, right? We're not asking McCoy to talk to his kid.
Right.
But still, McCoy is a medical professional. If anybody can explain puberty, and it should be a doctor, right? So they go back and forth about this, like, I don't know, Jim, you seem to have like the father figure, whatever.
Right.
The whole thing just pissed me off. Just somebody explain to him, and quit hemming and hawing around why it's wrong to smack a girl on the ass.
Yeah. And so I think,
unless they've provided consent and a safe word.
When they were talking, Kirk and McCoy were trying to work out some type of training program for him to try and one, they wanted to figure out how he had survived all that long.
Mm-hmm.
But then, they were talking about, thinking of his well-being and the need for a father figure. And I think McCoy was saying, well, Kirk, you should do it.
Yeah, you're the captain. Exactly.
You should do it.
Not me. And Kirk's like, whoa, not me. And it just, I don't know.
And Kirk was shit at it. But we'll get to that.
I have become pretty outspoken in advocating for comprehensive sex education in public schools. If you know me from anything from before this, you've heard this next screed. We need to be medically accurate and inclusive of all sexualities and gender identities. We need to have, and we have the receipts on this, right? We know there are studies that show if we do that, then if we teach comprehensive inclusive sex ed in public schools, then all the things that we claim to care about get better.
Yeah.
We have the receipts for this.
And abortions.
STI, STD transmission rate, all of that stuff
100%
gets better. So this trope of like the awkward adult trying to explain sex to a teenager, it's unnecessary and it's damaging. And I don't consume a whole ton of TV that's being produced today.
Yeah.
But I hope we've left that in the past. So Spock diverts the conversation back to whether or not Charlie had said anything about Thasians. And Kirk mentions a legend that Thasians exist on whatever this planet is that Charlie crashed on.
Mm-hmm.
So we still don't know what a Thasian is. And that comes back at the end of the episode too, of like, I don't think they did a great job of weaving through like that. That plot point is kind of a B story, but it's not even really fleshed out.
Yeah.
But Spock has logicked out that Charlie couldn't possibly have survived on his own. So there's got to be some kind of intelligent life on Thasus.
Right.
And then Spock starts making the same arguments that McCoy tried to make with Charlie, right? Didn't you run out of food? And McCoy has now arguing the points that Charlie was arguing before. Well, sure, but then he would have been eating fruits and stuff growing on the land by that point. Spock says Thasus doesn't have much plant life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're putting more pieces together. McCoy says scans can be wrong, and they get in this kind of tussle, this rap battle back and forth. And Spock delivers what is the first of many barbs about emotion. Doctor, are you speaking scientifically or emotionally? I love that line.
The two of them have such an interesting relationship because like the doc is always harping on him about well, everyone harps on him about his non-emotion, but then the
Right.
doc is always talking about his green blood and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, give it a rest.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
There's a lot of that half-blood, green-blooded,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
McCoy's a racist.
I mean,
He's a racist. Like, stop bringing it up. But yeah, he's always done it. In the mess hall or rec room or wherever they go to like
Wherever
chill,
they go to
everybody
play
goes
chess.
to chill. So Spock was playing this weird, like, small handheld harp.
right? It's the Vulcan lute.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think.
The Vulcan lute. And then Uhura's in there. Uhura's in there and Janice is in there and a bunch of other people. And Uhura starts to sing. And this is a very famous scene where Uhura is just doing a very theatrical performance, quote unquote performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really amusing the crew. But this scene is like probably one of the most famous scene. Even if you haven't seen Star Trek, you've probably seen this scene.
And if you ship Spock and Uhura at all, this scene, there was a lot of flirtatious
There was a lot of
playing back and forth.
There's a lot of heat there. But yeah, Uhura is singing, and then Charlie comes in while she's singing and tries to get Janice's attention. He comes up behind Janice, and he's just kind of like seeing everyone just with their attention on Uhura. And so he tries to get Janice's attention, Yeoman Rand, with a card trick. You know, just like a kid, like, hey, mommy, look at this.
Yeah.
But she kind of waves him away because she's just focused on Uhura, and
It was
the adults are in the room.
most patronizing pat on the hand of like, okay, little boy, we'll get to you in a little
Exactly.
bit. It was
Yeah.
very
Well,
patronizing.
Yes and no, but to him it was because it's normally you wouldn't go in and interrupt.
Right.
And again, he doesn't understand the nuances
social
and the
stuff.
social,
Yeah.
any of that. So of course when she waves him away, he is visibly pissed,
Mhm.
jealous, like mommy. It was like seriously like a child not getting mom's attention.
Mm-hmm.
But then Uhura sees Charlie and she changes her song.
Uh-huh.
And start singing about Charlie. And I should have written down the lyrics. Did you write them?
Let me pull it up real quick.
But she is kind of not quite poking fun at Charlie.
Right. The song that she was singing about Spock came across to me as a little bit like speciesist, like a little.
Everybody's a racist.
Everybody's
poor Spock.
a racist.
He really got it
Because
bad.
Uhura's singing about your devil horns and your pointed ears and yeah. And so then she changes her song and she starts singing about Charlie.
Now from a planet out in space, there comes a lad not commonplace, seeking out his first embrace. He's saving it for you.
You're talking about Janice.
Oh, Charlie's our new darling, our darling, our darling. Charlie's our new darling. We know not what he'll do.
And then
So we don't really know, like Charlie is not liking this song at all.
no, because it is about him. And first of all, Uhura's taking the attention that he wants
Right.
from Janice. And then I guess maybe he just made fun. He felt like maybe he was made fun
getting
of.
picked on. Yeah.
Getting picked on.
Charlie shoots a creepy look across the room and Uhura's voice gone and Spock's lute mute.
Yep.
And then like nothing happened. He's like, Janice, here's my card trick.
I know. Creepy little fucker.
Yeah.
I was like, this kid is evil. You know, I didn't know. I did not know.
So he puts 3 cards down on the table. And then when Janice flips them back over, they've turned from playing card to a photo of her. And these looked to me like a professional stock photo, right? Like headshots or whatever. Like
if I was in a photo that I don't remember taking, like, where'd you get that from? I mean, like, I know, but they were like all impressed.
Right. Yeah, they were not.
It's like, I don't remember taking that photo.
So, but everybody's impressed and they gather around Charlie.
So
and Janice, and he's like,
this is
do
great.
some more tricks. This is great.
He's got all this attention that he wants. He loves that.
For his next trick, Charlie throws a card behind him and then makes it appear down Janice's shirt because he's a perv.
That's really where he wants to be, in her bosom.
That's right. Elsewhere on the ship, Kirk says to what I assume is like a chef or something that it's actually Thanksgiving on Earth, so he wants the synthetic turkey to at least look like turkey.
I remember.
Now, this was
that.
such a weird bit to me because why are we celebrating Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
First of all, step one, why are we celebrating Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that did not make any sense.
Like, obviously they stayed away from this kind of, tying it back to Earth tradition and stuff. Later in the series, they got away from some of that.
Yeah.
For very good reason. Like, I don't even think we should be celebrating Thanksgiving in 2022, let alone
I don't either. It should be, I think it's Indigenous Day or something, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Instead of
I
don't celebrate that
arrival of the colonizers.
Yeah, I don't celebrate the colonizers anymore.
Nope.
Now that I'm
woke.
I'm woke, Sarah.
I will take any damn reason to get together and eat a bunch of good food, though.
Oh, hell yeah.
We just need to call it something
Call
else.
it something different.
Yep. So that was a little weird to me. Charlie walks in and asks Kirk, he's like, why can't I touch Janice's butt? And again, Kirk can't seem to figure out how to talk about this stuff. He's stammering around all over himself. Well,
worst. I'm like, he's a captain and he can't find the words to talk to a young man about women,
right,
and what you do and don't do and why.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very disappointed that he was so shit at that.
Well, and then he's like, well, there's no right way to hit a woman. And I'm here.
Well, like what? There's no right way?
I am here to disagree with that statement. There is a right way, and it usually involves a flog or a paddle or something, and lots of consent.
Lots of consent.
Lots of consent. Yeah. There is a right way.
He did a terrible, terrible job of explaining. He didn't explain that.
Well, and there's a lot of like this toxic masculinity that's tied into it too. Of like, Kirk's basically saying like, it's okay for men to hit each other because men are men, but women, well, that's not the right answer. Not the right explanation. Keep trying. Yeah.
Kirk, I'm sorry, you failed.
Next. Then Uhura radios down. The captain of the Antares is back on the radio. So Kirk's headed to the bridge and Charlie wants to tag along. And
he promises not to get in the way.
He's I won't boop any bops or anything. Why don't we take a child to the bridge? Right?
Never. It's never a good idea.
It's like, it's the command center of your vessel. It should be like high clearance to get onto the bridge.
Yeah, they're not following any kind of protocol. They just let anybody. Yeah.
Back up on the bridge then, Uhura is having trouble getting the Antares call to clear up. It's a lot of static. And they have just enough time to say, I've got to warn. And then the call disconnects.
Yep.
Charlie's...
he did the thing with his eyes again.
Yeah. He did the creepy eye thing.
Creepy fucking eye.
And Charlie says, it wasn't very well constructed, which is odd. And Kirk asks if do you think something happened to the Antares? And Charlie says he doesn't know, but Spock has already scanned the area, and now there is only debris where the Antares used to be.
Yep. I think I wrote down how many people that was. I think it was 20.
Good for you.
Yes, of course. I'm going to keep
a lot of research.
Buddy count. 20 people on the Antares.
I'm impressed. I was going to count the ship as one for what 20
people.
But 20 people, good.
20 people.
All right.
Buddy count 20.
Yeah. That's 20 for this episode. Right. I'm going to have to put a little thing on the website, a little counter of how many deaths we've gone through so far.
Perfect.
So if you go to awesome. Kirk gives Charlie a skeptical glance, and then we're interrupted by a call from someone down in the galley. I guess this is the chef again, and he apparently put meatloafs in the oven, and now they've magically transformed into real turkeys. And then Charlie kind of stifles a laugh, and then he turns and leaves. Very abruptly, very oddly.
That kid. Yeah, of course. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how to act. No.
That gives us another little breadcrumb of something strange has happened on the ship, and nothing more is really made of it.
Right.
The meatloaf disappears and turns into turkey.
Kirk and Spock are engaging in a game of chess.
Yeah, in the captain's log for that, did you notice they mentioned USPA as like an agency, like a
USPA.
So yeah, so I looked it up. It is the United Earth Space Probe Agency. USPA has been notified of the loss of the Antares. So apparently the Antares is a USPA probe ship or something.
I thought it was a cargo ship.
I thought it was.
A cargo ship.
That confused me of like why.
It's a cargo ship.
Why are we communicating with the Space Probe Agency? I don't know.
That is weird.
Was strange.
That is weird. Because they say in the beginning it's a cargo ship.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so.
That's weird.
Anyway, we're playing 3D chess.
Yeah. So there's chess and it's on like a tiered board where there's different tiers and each tier has like 4 to 5. I don't know how many. I didn't look that closely, but it looked really difficult and complicated.
We don't do a lot of research here.
Yeah. But I mean, we like to just talk about this and have it happen organically.
We're just being nerds.
Yeah.
So I loved this idea for a new take on chess. I'm not real good at chess.
I'm terrible at it, and I always wanted to learn.
I've played, like I know the basic rules or whatever, but I'm not competitive or anything. But I remember, and I don't know if you'll remember this or not, in the early 90s, I used to get like catalogs in the mail. And I wish I could think of the Galactic something or other. There was like a mail order thing that you could order like toys and props and paraphernalia stuff from
that's
sci-fi shows.
That's for just white kids, I guess.
Okay. I got that. And
I knew I couldn't afford that shit. So.
I remember this was also in Star Trek magazine too, advertisements for this thing. But in like the early 90s, and these advertisings were like this, they're glossy looking 3D chessboard from the Franklin Mint.
Oh, cool.
The Franklin Mint did a whole thing of an actual 3D chessboard, and I always wanted one. I thought it was really cool. I looked them up. You can still get them in various places. I would
love to have one, and I first would love to play chess. Learn how to play chess.
Yeah, I think you probably. I don't know how to play 3-dimensional chess.
Well, I
know
wonder
it's
if the rules are different.
But I wonder if knowing traditional chess is like beneficially prerequisite to learning how to play.
Yeah.
Like if you just start on Star Trek chess instead of regular chess, I wonder what that experience would be like. So there it is.
That's so cool.
Yep, there it is. You still buy it. Amazon has one for sale.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there it is. I want one for the studio. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be kind of cool.
In case anybody's
and we do
Christmas shopping out there.
One move every podcast.
Right. So they're playing chess, and Kirk is distracted by the destruction of the Antares. His mind is not on the chess game.
Yeah.
And Spock is more concerned about Charlie.
Yeah.
Spock noticed that Charlie knew that the Antares had been destroyed before they knew that the Antares had been destroyed.
See, because he's logical, he's suspicious. He's the only one, that catches this shit. And everybody else is just like oblivious. They do think he's just a boy. But because Spock is logical and he's like suspicious of everybody.
Yeah, he's the one that's on it.
Yeah.
So Charlie walks in, and there's another, speaking of logical Spock, there's a great logical Spock line here about Kirk's illogical approach to chess that I really liked. So then Kirk hands over the chessboard to Charlie. Now, Charlie hasn't played before, but he has seen people play, he says.
Right.
So Kirk leaves, and the chess match begins.
Right.
And like in no time, Spock's got him checkmated.
And he's angry. Charlie is super angry at that.
This reminded me a lot of my kid when he like dies in a video game. He's one of these like aggravated gamer people who, what's the rage gamer, where he gets something doesn't go his way.
He's going to throw the controller.
I don't know that he does that, but he'll slam the table and scream and yeah. You get that voice in therapy.
That's Charlie, and
that's Charlie. He's big mad.
Yeah.
So Spock leaves, and Charlie does his creepy eye thing, and melts down a bunch of these chess pieces.
The boy, and I'm just thinking, what is this kid gonna do next? Somebody's just, I could like literally, I'm getting anxious watching this episode the whole time. My emotions were everywhere. I was like, I hate this kid. I really want him off the ship.
Yeah, this is not good.
I hate this kid.
It's more and more clear now that Charlie has some kind of powers. And I couldn't help but notice that some of those chess pieces look like butt plugs. Did you pick that up?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It had like a tip and a couple of wobbles and a flared base.
It could have been.
It could have been. Charlie storms down the hallway where he bumps into Yeoman Rand and Tina Lawton, whom I don't think we've ever met before, but she is a yeoman third class.
Yeah.
And Rand is like, I thought you might enjoy someone your own age.
Yeah. And
don't come after me anymore.
Leave me the fuck alone. You bother this chick. I'm putting your issues off on her. That's basically what it is. And but he completely ignores this girl. She's standing there just being like all nice and sweet, and he's just like ignoring her. He's fixated on Janice, and
Tina's like, well, I don't have to take this shit. I'm leaving.
Right.
So she leaves.
Yep. And he's like, Janice, you're the only one that looks like you, or some creepy
There's
bullshit.
A lot of creepy shit in there.
Yeah.
He's like,
so stalker.
Janice is like, you should give Tina a try, and Charlie's like, she's just a girl.
Yeah.
You smell like a girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does that mean? The other girls smell like.
Look, if I wasn't married, I think that's going to be my new pickup line. You smell like a girl.
You smell like a girl. That's so, I mean, don't do that.
No.
It's creepy.
Charlie's got it real bad for Janice. And he's all like, if I had the whole universe, I'd give it to you. And when I see you, I feel hungry all over.
And that's when I'm like, mm-mm.
Yeah. I think this is the point where Janice as a character realizes like,
there's a problem. Okay,
this isn't just a horny teenager. This is a fucking incel.
Right.
Like
total incel.
Yep.
Yeah.
The threat level for her has raised.
Yeah.
Back up on the bridge, and Janice has gone straight to Kirk and is like,
she did a run tell that. She literally, she's like, I'm gonna tell Daddy, because she straight to Kirk, and she should have. He's the captain. He needs to keep a handle on this fucking kid because he's trouble.
Yep.
And she's like, you got to do something before I hurt him. And by hurt him, she meant like she's gonna turn him down bluntly. And I think you were talking about that before. Like, why do we hold our nose back?
Yeah.
Just why are we so concerned about hurting that other person when we feel threatened? Like, but anyway.
What she doesn't say here in this moment, or, because she's basically like, look, I'm going to have to tell him to leave me alone. And what she's not saying, and this, women go through this shit all the time. And it often leads to like threats and rape and all kinds of shit.
Sometimes worse.
Because dudes like this are dangerous. Like, you're stuck at that point. What do? You go along with him and he's dangerous.
Yeah.
You tell him to get away from me. Well, he's dangerous.
Right.
So you really are stuck. And so going to Kirk was the right thing to do here.
Yep.
What she does say, though, is that she doesn't want to hurt him because she's his first crush.
See, and there we are. There we go again.
Right. I want to be gentle. I don't want to hurt his feelings.
Let him get used to being hurt and say, look, motherfucker.
This is going to happen a lot in your life, and you better get used to it.
And you better
learn now.
You better learn what no means.
Yeah.
And that means you need to stop.
Yep.
But yeah. But Kirk promises I'll
handle it.
I'll talk to him. I'll handle it.
So he does. He goes down and he sits on the edge of the bed with Charlie, and he's like, listen, son, let me tell you a little something about the birds and the bees. When boys and girls like each other, you see, son, this is how it works. Like, so, but the one thing, though, is Charlie comes into Kirk's quarters. So they're in Kirk's quarters. That's hard to say. Kirk's quarters. Charlie comes in for the talk, right? And he's standing like 2 inches away from Kirk. It is the weirdest, like,
get off
me staging. Yeah, like get out of my face. So Kirk asks if Charlie knows anything about those melted chess pieces that we found down in the rec room. And he says no. And then Kirk...
He's also a fucking liar.
Yeah, he is. And then Kirk tries again to explain to Charlie, but he's not good at explaining it at all. And Charlie just keeps getting more and more confused.
He's like, everything I say and do is wrong.
This is something I really connected with.
Yeah.
That feeling of like just not fitting into the thing that you're in or doing.
Yeah.
And feeling like everything that you do or say is wrong. I have 100,000% been there.
Yeah.
Probably within the last month. But he says, I'm in the way. I don't know the rules.
Right.
So at least he's aware of this social issue.
Yeah.
Right. So he talks about not knowing who or what he is and how he hurts inside all of the time. And Kirk just like brushes this off as like, oh, it was just a teenager stuff.
Yeah. But he's like, I don't know he asked Kirk point blank, what should I do when I care about somebody?
Mm-hmm.
But like Kirk just
insists, take it slow.
Yeah, that's what he said. Take it slow. But he did say, okay, Janice is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
At least he did stick to that point. That was the only thing helpful that he might have said. But otherwise, yeah.
So like Charlie's dealing with this moment where you realize your first crush doesn't crush you back.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
It does hurt.
And that
trust
is
me.
a real shitty feeling.
It is. You think, what's wrong with me? And why can't I? And I know. I know that feeling very well.
So again, maybe this is the 60s, sign of the times. But like that, again, that whole everybody's afraid to explain sexuality to this kid. Kirk doesn't give him any good answers here. He's just like, he's like, well, what do you do? How do you handle this?
He didn't.
And Kirk's like, yeah, you just suck it up and go on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not the best advice.
Yeah. He sucks at it.
Uhura radios down and tells Kirk, she says something about notifying you about course adjustments. And Kirk says, "Well, I'll have Spock handle that." Okay. Does the captain have to like check in with the bridge every time they make a course adjustment?
I don't know.
That seemed like that's not right either. Like the crew, can't the crew handle their thing? Like,
was there any, I don't remember this particular point, and I'm just trying to think, what was the point of that transmission? Was there any, is it something that is helpful later?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
All it really did to me, all it really did was it communicated that Kirk was getting ready to go do something with Charlie. That's it. It was just like, hey, can you handle this thing? And he was like, no, have Spock handle it. I'm going to go do this other thing.
Okay. Maybe.
That was it.
All right. I don't know then.
Time filler, maybe? I don't know.
So then Kirk, in his infinite wisdom, he's like, well, let's go in the sparring room, right? To maybe work out some frustration physically. And he's super pouty. Oh my God. I just want to beat this kid's ass myself.
I also love here that, exercise is great, right? But we could have done rowing. We could have done weightlifting. We could have done.
But no, they're going to spar.
We could have gone jogging. But Kirk went with Toxic Masculinity chapter number 1. I'm going to teach you how to fight.
Right.
Because that seems like a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh, and can we also talk about these tights that they're wearing?
Yeah, I was looking at I saw the cock print. I mean, it's like yuck. But
it's like gray sweatpants season. Just came in.
Look, the gray gray sweatpants is better than those red tights. So
okay,
I'll go for the gray sweatpants any day, but not the red tights. That was awful.
So Kirk shows him how to take a fall, and then he tries a shoulder roll, and Charlie's like, I thought you were going to teach me how to fight. And, Kirk's explaining like, well, you need to learn how to hold yourself and how to fall. And before, that's part of fighting. So Kirk decides to spar with Sam a little bit to demonstrate how it's done. And then he's like, go on, Charlie, give it a go. And at one point he was like, I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So he tosses Charlie and, the crewman Sam.
He
big mistakes.
Laughing.
Charlie doesn't like it when people laugh because he doesn't understand what that means.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks it's
you're laughing
something
at
me.
Right.
Right.
Well, in this case, I mean,
but that's okay for someone to laugh at you. It's not a killable offense or whatever. But Charlie.
Spoiler alert.
2
2 seconds later, Charlie
gets pissed, does the devil eye thing, and then boom, the crewman Sam disappears right in front of Kirk's eyes. So now I'm thinking right now, like, get this motherfucker off the ship. And how are they gonna do that without, him killing everybody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and now, like, this is Kirk's first seeing this thing happening. Like,
right.
he gets it now. Oh shit, Charlie's got some powers.
Yeah.
I really did feel for Charlie in this moment. Because
not this, but I didn't.
You didn't.
Not this particular one. No.
I felt a little. Well, the being laughed at thing. Like, I did feel a little. I did feel a little for Charlie in that moment. Like, you're trying something new for the first time, and it's,
And then guys were being guys.
Dudes are laughing at you. This dude's laughing at you.
Yeah. Okay. I see your point.
I did feel.
I
felt a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm being insensitive. I'm being insensitive, but yeah, I did not.
So
he creeped me out.
I also want to talk about a Shatner acting moment here.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlie zaps Sam away, and Kirk's reaction was hit me very strangely. He like barely reacts, and then he like the camera pulls in real tight as he stands up, and we get Kirk eyes.
Mm-hmm. That smolder, hold it, smolder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some Shatner acting gold.
Yeah. I will say the actor that played Charlie was acting the shit out of this role and far above.
I want to see him in something else.
Far above everyone else. Because, yeah.
Yeah. I really want to see him in something else just to see like what his range is.
Yeah. Because this was, yeah.
So Charlie's like, he shouldn't have done that. It's not nice to laugh at people. And he says he didn't mean to do it, but Sam made him do it because he laughed at him. And Kirk wants to know where Sam went.
Where's Sam? What'd you do with him?
Charlie, where's Sam? And Charlie, all he can say is, he's gone.
You shouldn't have laughed at him. So, yeah. So Kirk, he calls for security and 2 red shirts. Right then, I'm like, okay, we got some red shirts. But 2 red shirts come in, and as they try to approach him, Charlie tosses these red shirts with his mind. And then one of the red shirts pulls out a phaser, and Charlie makes the phaser just disappear. And he says, he thought they were going to hurt him.
Yep.
So Kirk just says, okay, look, Kirk knows that he's like the only person that Charlie will, for some reason, respect or whatever. So he's like, okay, well, I'm telling you to go to your quarters.
Yep.
And you're going to be confined there. And he promises that they're not going to hurt him.
There's a couple of cut-in scenes where there's a couple of cut-in scenes where, right, so you've got your wide shot and they're talking, and then you go in close on Charlie, or in some places in the episode Kirk, and the lighting is completely different, right? It's all dark except for the eyes.
They do that on purpose. So in college, I'm going off on a tangent because that's what we did.
No, do it.
In college, I took a course. I was one of these electives. I was going through a technical program, but you have to take these electives.
Right.
And one was film study. And I loved that course so much. And I still remember lots of things from it to this day. And one of the things a lot of things that I learned, I apply that every time I'm looking at a movie or a show.
Yep.
And it is lighting. And one of the movies that we reviewed in that class was the one with Rosebud and it's a
Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
So, and it talked about the lighting and how you use that to kind of portray or convey, like, not necessarily evil, but dark.
Right.
So you put them in shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So they literally put his whole face in shadow except his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting.
That was an interesting choice.
But they do a lot of...
There's all kinds of stuff, like whether you're shot from below or above or straight on tells you something.
100%.
Whether you're lit from below or above. Like there's all these different visual languages.
And I never knew anything about that until I took that course. And then there's also a bunch of other stuff. Because we looked at movies from the 80s and 90s, and one of the movies that we looked at was and I can't believe I can't think of the one with Mel Gibson and Danny Glover.
Lethal Weapon.
Believe it or not, that is a film study subject, or that's something because of the way that they shot this movie. Was a typical 80s and 90s movie, and they did certain things that were always the same. I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but anyway,
that's good stuff. But again, also not experts.
Yeah, not experts.
We just dabble.
Yeah, we just we don't know. I don't know shit. So.
After a quick back and forth with Kirk, Charlie decides to go with security. And Uhura radios down. Security reports all phaser weapons on the whole ship are gone now.
Motherfucker. Yeah.
So KSM, which is what I'm going to call Kirk, Spock, and McCoy whenever the three of them are together.
Yep.
KSM gather in the briefing room, and Spock's talking about Thasians again. And again, like I feel like this is a plot point that we just came to when it, like...
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, Spock is always coming with the research, and he's like, I don't remember them mentioning Thasians before. They just like slowly glossed over.
He mentioned something about it early in the episode, and then we forget. We don't talk about Thasians again until
we don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Thasians.
We were right. Thasians were a thing. I'd forgotten that was even part of this episode.
Right.
So Spock is holding up this stack of 3.5 inch floppy disks, and he's holding them up near his face as if he's talking to them. But they're obviously just like computer chips.
Yeah.
I think they were going for like contemplative, right? Like, I don't know, my drink. Like if I'm talking and I'm thinking, or if I'm sitting being contemplative, I might hold a thing like this. I don't know what they were going for here. But it was really weird. Pop quiz, Allie. What was the standard for storage size for those old 3.5s?
1.44.
Good for you.
Oh, come on.
That's right.
I'm a techie.
I know.
I built my own
but
computer.
But also, like, we grew up in the dark ages.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying here.
Nobody knows what a 386 is these days.
Yeah, so
Spock was saying that
he's talking about the legend of the hidden Thasians or whatever.
Yeah.
And they supposedly had powers to make stuff disappear. And he's like, well, maybe Charlie is a Thasian. And
because they thought he was human. I mean, I thought he was human. He was on a vessel. He crashed. So...
Right.
I don't know.
McCoy's like, nope, that can't possibly be. There's a metric he says he uses, and this is another one of those things of like, of all the things that you could have chosen to use as a here's why I can tell that this kid is a human and not something else, is that the development of his fingers and toes matches that of a present day man, Earth man.
That was so dumb. They were reaching.
So
they
dumb.
were like, we don't know what to say here, so we're gonna make something up.
Like,
it didn't make any sense.
We're like genetic studies not a thing at all. Like,
apparently no.
Were we not there yet? Because that's what I would have. I don't know. Anyway, so now we've got a hormonal teenager, but worse.
He
has
disappears
these crazy
people.
fucking powers.
He disappears people. I'm just like, get the fuck off the ship. And,
right? The stakes just keep getting higher and higher.
Right. And so their original plan when they picked him up was to take him to
Colony 5.
Colony 5 because they think some of his relatives are there. So that was, but now they're like, I don't know if we should expose him to other people.
Right. Like, is this kid like an innocent who doesn't understand the world or the powers that he has, or is he just a fucking lunatic with no concern for life?
And they know, or they suspect, or they have to know that he killed the Antares, the 20 people on the Antares.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he made Sam disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right in front of Kirk.
Right in front of Kirk.
Dangerous. The boy is fucking school shootery, dangerous, and they need to kid gloves.
Yep.
Proceed with caution.
So Kirk decides, nope, we probably shouldn't take him to Colony 5 after all. And then Charlie shows up, and Kirk confronts him about what happens on the Antares, right? And Kirk's figured it out, and Charlie finally reluctantly admits to causing their destruction. He says,
right,
they weren't nice to me. Right. And Kirk asks, well, what about us? And Charlie says he doesn't know and leaves.
He walks away
with security to go back to his quarters. That was they brought him in to ask him, hey, Charlie, do you know anything about the Antares?
Yeah. Well, they were going to blow up anyway, he said. And so you killed a bunch of people, and what are you going to do to us? I don't know. And then walked away.
Yeah, creepy. Back on the bridge, Kirk asks Uhura to radio Colony 5 and asks navigation to lay in a course away from the colony to buy some time. Mm-hmm. But then Uhura's console starts throwing sparks.
Yeah, and she
knocks her ass onto the ground. The helm isn't responding, and just as Kirk's asking Spock what his instruments read, Charlie arrives on the bridge and begins terrorizing fucking everybody.
His little fucking tantrum. This is what a intergalactic tantrum looks like, I guess. Because he starts making Spock recite poetry.
Yes.
And he is Spock has no control over his mouth or his body.
Charlie lets on now that he's the one not allowing them to change course. Yep. He wants to get to Colony 5. That's where he's going. And then McCoy bursts onto the bridge. And Spock's reciting poetry again. And Charlie calls him Mr. Ears. Charlie thinks it's all hilarious, but Kirk tells him to knock it off, and he just leaves the bridge. There's so many of these scenes that just end with him walking away, and not a resolution to whatever the thing was that was happening in that scene.
And so Kirk has this power over this kid. He has so much. This kid has so much respect for him. When Kirk says "stop it," like a dad. He does, but he's not happy about it. But then he comes back and does something even fucking worse. So it's weird.
Down in the hallway, Charlie continues his terror. He passes by Yo woman Tina Lawton, the cute young girl that he snubbed earlier. And he does a little creepy eye thing and turns her into an iguana.
I know. That's so fucked up. That is fucked up.
Right? And then he barges into Yo woman Rand's quarters and he says, I have something for you.
And she's like, don't you ever come into my room unannounced. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he takes her.
Well, she's obviously you don't just walk into somebody's room.
Never.
I mean, she could have been flicking the bean.
Oh, she could have been.
She could have been taking a fat shit.
Well, yeah, true.
And Charlie's like, yes, those are both of my kinks. Flicking the bean and taking a fat shit.
Oh my God.
So the throw to commercial here is very rapey.
Yeah.
This is where I started getting rapey vibes.
Yeah. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Charlie's professing his love for Janice and he's like, stop locking your door. And she's like, I'll lock it whenever I damn well please. What do you want? Anyway, and Charlie says, you. And Creep walks toward her, this slow, creepy walk that he did.
Yeah.
Just the way they shot it. And it was tight on his face. He's walking towards the camera.
And the actor
out of the frame past the camera, fade to commercial. Yeah. It was the creepiest fucking thing.
And this actor, he's killing it. I fucking hate him. And I guess that was the
the goal
intent
for the character, right?
Whenever an actor makes me want to fucking come through that screen and choke the shit out of him, that's a good actor. Because
this I think was one of the most jarring scenes.
She secretly turns on the intercom to the bridge so that all that shit that he's saying to her, Spock and Kirk can hear it.
Yes.
So then Spock and Kirk show up, but then Charlie does the double eye thing and tosses him across the room.
Now he's like using the force.
Yeah. He's coming into his own with the force.
Pushing somebody away.
He's like, and so Janice slaps him across the face.
That was the most gratifying thing I've seen in a long time.
Yep. And then what does he do? He disappears her. You know, bye, Janice. So we're like, oh no, he killed Janet.
You bastards!
Now he's really confused because this is somebody that he really loved, but then he killed her, and he's got all these conflicting feelings and he can't make sense of it.
Right.
But he still needs Kirk to control the ship because the Enterprise is a lot harder to control than Antares was.
Right.
Much more complicated ship. And then he threatens to Kirk to be nice to him and then gives Kirk a shot of that punishment. And it's that same punishment pain that the booty heads gave Pike in the cage.
The headache.
He starts,
my head. Oh, I'm getting a headache.
Spock's legs are broken, which we don't know until this moment. And then Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, they're just
he's just laying on the floor.
there on the floor, and he's like, my legs are broken. Holy shit. Like, damn.
So Kirk demands that Charlie let him go too, which he does, but with the added threat that if they try to hurt him again, he's going to make a lot of people go away.
Yeah.
Kirk asks about Janice. Is she dead? But Charlie refuses to tell him and leaves the room. But his face sure said she's dead, Jim.
Yeah, she's dead, Jim.
Now we're out in the hallway. Spock relieves a crewman who is preparing to set up this force field.
And, that's right.
And Kirk and Charlie walk by. And then Charlie enters into this room. And he kind of turns around and looks at Kirk and he's like, are you coming too?
Are you coming in?
And they turn on a force field.
Right. The force field, come on.
This was some fun practical effects. This is like a couple of light bars on either side of the door frame that just kind of turn a little bit and buzz.
Yeah. All acting.
But when you don't have a ton of money to spend on that kind of shit, like it conveyed to me pretty well that like this is a force field.
Yeah.
Charlie is really pissed now and creepy eyes the whole fucking wall out of there.
Charlie, like, you can't hold me. Like, fuck you can't hold me. So yeah, I'm gonna make the whole room disappear around me.
Here's another thing that happened that I questioned the purpose of. He's pissed off. He creepy eyes the wall away. Then he freezes Kirk and Spock.
Right.
And then he does this evil monologue about how they'll be sorry that they did that. Then he releases them. I don't know really why he froze them. Like, what was the point of that?
He's just an impetuous child who can't make up his mind, I guess. I don't know what they wanted to portray there.
Yeah. Other than maybe just add another visual, like there's another little visual trickery effect where, okay, Leonard and Bill, if you guys could just stand still
and not move
and don't move, try not to breathe.
Pretend you're frozen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. But then Charlie goes and like he starts just grudge fucking the whole ship. He's like grudge fucking people at random. He's like walking to the ship, I guess on the way to the bridge. He walks by a young woman, a young officer, and he turns her into an old woman.
There is so much good costuming and makeup work done in this whole scene.
Yeah. So he turns her into like a shriveled wrinkly old woman, and then he walks by a room of people laughing, and obviously you know how he reacts to
like
laughing. He thinks everyone's laughing at him, so he gets mad. This is really fucked up too.
That was so crazy.
He gets mad and he takes like their whole face away, so their whole face is like it's like
just
a stocking
like
with no nose and no eyes, and they're just like it was so stupid. The way that they filmed it though, it was just a room full of we never
the
saw
shadows against the wall.
Right. We never saw the people in the room. We just heard the laughter, and then he did the double eye thing, and then some woman comes out creeping around holding onto the wall with no face.
I love it. That's such a great effect.
Yeah.
We should talk about like so the young woman that was turned into an old lady, like. And I realize this was made in the 60s. That caveat exists through the whole show.
Why is that a punishment?
But yeah, like shouldn't the standard of beauty, shouldn't we be in a better place by 2266?
No. I mean, if it was, if it was filmed in 1966.
Of course, yes. But
they were just, I think, they hadn't.
That's the thing I
thought
hope
about
I
that.
never see in Trek again, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like,
I think,
I hope we don't.
pardon the word again, but I think they're more woke now and more conscious of like social issues and stuff like that now. But then they didn't. I think maybe Gene Roddenberry just wanted to get on, just let us get on TV, and then maybe I can eventually say what I would like to say.
Right. Well, and a lot of the things, like there's a clip in our intro that talks about of Gene talking about that.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to try to sneak some things in here.
Yeah,
and there.
and he snuck some things in, especially in like the cage and so yeah.
Yep.
But like just get on TV first and get a following so that they don't cancel you when you do something.
And that
controversial.
comes right.
Yeah.
I guess I should say, like, we've been watching the new Trek, and I think we are we're not doing this young beauty like idolatry anymore. Like disco, especially if there is a show that's like you can be anybody you want and look however you want and like whoever you want and just be yourself.
Yes.
And nobody gives a shit because you're cool and that's all we care about.
Yeah, that show that made me cry so many times. That show, just because they see everyone, they see you, whether you are female, male, neither or both.
Yep.
They see you, and
so
it's just
good.
Yeah.
I wish we had the time to like run two shows side by side to do the new, like get into the new stuff
but
too.
we have lives.
We ain't got time for that.
We do have lives.
So back on the bridge, now Charlie is sitting at the helm making course changes. Uhura detects a ship-to-ship radio call but can't hear anything. And Kirk asks Charlie if he's creating that call or blocking one. And Charlie's like, it's a game. You'll have to figure it out. That's the game.
I'm not telling you. I want to punch this motherfucker.
And then again, he leaves the bridge after he's locked them on a course to Colony 5.
Right.
Stepping off the turbo lift, he's still on his tear of like ripping through fucking people up.
Yeah.
He gets off the turbo lift and he freezes another crew person and like shoves his way through a group of 3 more as he storms down the hallway.
Right.
Back on the bridge, KSM are debating whether Charlie would actually disappear Kirk if he pushed back too hard. So there's some conversation here about like he respects you, Jim,
but you push him
but
too
there's
far.
Probably a line.
He gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And
so Kirk thinks he's figured out that Charlie is just too overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because he's controlling the ship and this is more difficult.
Right.
And the suggestion this is another one of those I had to stretch my belief here. He says, let's turn on every device on the ship.
Right. He says
every circuit, every light to try to like overload Charlie. Right. And I was like, wait, light bulbs being turned on are going to make this kid.
I roll. Well, he says that he thinks that he realizes that Charlie hasn't disappeared anyone since he took over the ship. Like he'll freeze them, but he hasn't made anyone disappear. So yeah,
I don't know. I just think I would have like fucked with some non-essential systems, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, turn off environmental controls somewhere.
Make him do something.
Or the artificial gravity on whatever deck, like circuits and lights. I don't know. But that's the plan. Turn on all the lights. Kirk's going to distract Charlie. McCoy's going to tranquilize him. And then Charlie bursts onto the bridge and sits down in the captain's chair. And Kirk's like, whoa there, buddy.
Get the fuck out of my chair.
Get out of my chair. You just crossed a line. Make my yo woman disappear, sure. But don't you dare sit in my chair.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Like what? The reaction was
very
different.
Yeah. So Spock and McCoy start flipping switches on a panel while Kirk gives a hero speech about how he thinks Charlie's at his limit and you're not going to be able to handle all of these switches we're flipping. And while he's hero speeching, Kirk snatches his ass up out of the chair and tosses him across the bridge.
Right.
And then Charlie gives him some more pain. And while we're distracted with that, communication and navigation and helm and everything starts coming back online.
Right.
And then Uhura gets a radio call from something off of starboard. They're from Thasus.
Thasus,
I'll be damned.
The
planet that
alien,
we didn't really talk about a lot.
The planet that they occasionally mention and the aliens that they occasionally just kind of slipped in there.
Yeah. Yo Woman Rand reappears on the bridge, and she's super confused about why she's there in her sexy nightgown.
Yeah.
Spock detects something out there,
Yeah.
but nothing solid. And then this blur of lights appears on the view screen. Now, I looked this up. I was actually looking up something else, and I saw side by side the remaster and the original. So the one we watched is like this kind of 3 lines of green something lights,
a blob
kind of lit up.
Right.
Yeah. The original was just like a glowing orb kind of thing.
Well, thank you for remastering.
The remasters really do look good. Like taking footage from that long ago and the stuff that they've gone in and done, particularly the shots on like the ship stuff, right, where the ship's flying by, those look amazing.
So much better. Yeah.
Yeah. But it kind of takes me away from it though. Like I want to be able to choose Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
I want to be able to choose. Do I want to watch it?
Can you not?
I don't know.
Yes, you can.
Can you?
Yes. You don't
No
have
shit.
to look at the remastered if you don't want to. I think you can choose to not look at the.
I'm going to write a note so I look at it later.
Okay. Yeah. I swear I saw both options. Maybe
Okay.
I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
Cool, because then I might start
I had
watching
a little some, so my mind ain't clear, so you never.
I might watch it in the original.
Oh, you
thing.
might hate it though.
I don't know. I don't think so.
You might.
I'm watching for story now.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
thing.
true, and that's I think why I'm enjoying it so much more is because I am watching it for story.
Yep.
I'm delighted that Janice appeared and the rest of the people appeared because I really thought they were dead. And okay, so I'm like, okay, you're just a little fucking bluffing, you little punk,
Right.
you know.
Right. So Charlie starts freaking the hell out. He doesn't want to go back and live with the Thasians again. So then Jambi from Pee-wee's Playhouse appears on the bridge.
Mecca lecca hi, Mecca hiney ho. The wish is granted. Long live Jambi.
The floating head like looking thing.
Yeah, the head in the box. Yeah.
It appears in the on the bridge. It's not corporeal form, but yeah.
So then Charlie changes his tune like real quick. Oh, you guys are my friends, right? Remember?
I'm
like,
sorry.
Take me home.
yeah.
I just want to go home.
Yeah, my bad, dog. I didn't mean it, you know. And
So Jambi does this thing that you do, like when your dog gets out and tears up the neighbor's flower bed, and you're all like, "Gee, Mister, I'm very sorry. We didn't notice the dog got out until it was too late. Sure, sorry about those flowers, though, right? But hey, nothing we can do about it now."
sorry, we cost some lives because he did kill 20 people.
Exactly
on the Antares, so.
right. So they can restore them, but not the Antares crew,
right?
Okay.
Well, I mean, we don't know that Janice. We don't know that they were actually dead. That he just may have put them somewhere else,
right?
But he caused
That's
an
true.
actual explosion
That's true.
on the ship. So
Yeah, maybe that's it.
They
That's a good
did.
one.
They did.
Yeah. But they have restored the Enterprise crew.
Yeah.
So Charlie becomes very childlike here. He promises I'll never do it again. I'm really sorry about the Antares. And he begs Kirk to help him. And we cut around the bridge for reaction shots. And before Kirk says Charlie should be with other humans. So he kind of takes his side and defends him. And he says, no, Charlie should be with his kind. And Jambi's like, nope. So then we get this debate back and forth about whether or not Charlie could be taught not to use his powers, to adapt and live in some whatever, quote, normal society is.
Right.
And Jambi argues that he will use his powers no matter what. Like eventually one of you is going to have to destroy the other or you're not going to be able to survive.
Right. And the reason that they gave Charlie the power so that he could survive in the first place. The Thasians don't have a corporeal form. So Charlie grew up.
He said he couldn't touch them.
He couldn't touch them. They don't love. They're not. So they offered him life and to take care of him, and they gave him the power so he could survive, but they couldn't give him anything else that a human child needs at such a vulnerable and what do you call that? Impressionable or whatever age where you need that love and nurturing, and he didn't get it. And
we're close to the end of the episode here, so we're really getting into the meat of the themes.
Yeah.
So I don't want to jump the gun, but I did make a note here about like asylum seeking. and what the Federation's policies are on that, because I know we revisit that later in later
I want to say Deep Space Nine, especially
something. And like, do you grant this kid asylum because he's asking you for help now?
Yeah, it's such a a difficult thing, and it did change. It did have me feeling some kind of way, but
it did. Yeah, little Charlie gets some real deep acting in this. Like,
oh man!
At the end of this thing, like when he's begging to stay, and before he fades off the ship, just the way he was, like. But he got some good acting there.
Yeah, but the Thasians knew that he couldn't stay with humans because he would destroy them in his quest to find love and his sense of belonging. So they took him. And like as you said, Charlie was just begging to not go, but they took him.
Yep. He fades away. The Thasian vessel leaves, and Janice starts crying in relief and runs down to Kirk's side. And Kirk,
you got rid of that little motherfucker.
Kirk reassures her, like, it's okay. It's all over now. Like the nightmare is over.
Yeah.
And as the camera pulls back with some real, like, this was some moody music in this episode. I was still left feeling like very uneasy about the whole fucking thing. Like so many episodes of Star Trek wrap up and then the music swells and where everything's good.
They've managed to find a compromise and everybody's happy.
Problem solved. Universe saved.
Yeah, this one I did not feel good at all.
No. And I thought that was like so effective.
Man. Yeah, this was heavy. I didn't realize it was going to be so heavy because it started out with just me. I hate that kid. I hate that kid.
I want him to die.
Right. I'm going to let me do my Samuel L. Jackson impression from that movie. Oh God, it was A Time to Kill. You know what I'm talking about? He says, I killed him. He deserved to die. And I hope he burn in hell. You remember that? But I really just wanted that kid dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn more about him through the episode and you feel a little different. Well, like, okay, so I didn't even really know where to start on this. Like on the surface, this is kind of presented as a story about adolescence and puberty, right? Like specifically male puberty, learning about how to control your urges and impulses that come with those changes in hormones, but not just an adolescent becoming a man, right? He also has these crazy special powers.
Right.
But then there's this whole other layer that's like, there are a whole range of people in our society now who, for one reason or another, don't have like the same social experience, like as most people. And I'm not really sure how to frame this because I don't want to sound ableist,
right?
Here.
You don't want to offend anyone, but
right. But like on one hand, okay, so Charlie is portrayed with some autism-like characteristics, right?
Yeah.
So I had to chew on that for a bit, and then we learned that he has this delayed developmental stuff going on, the lack of social awareness. Now that's due to basically being raised on his own,
right,
by these people that don't know anything about humans. So then I felt some kind of way about that. Like, you know, when you hear a news story every now and then about some bastard fucking parents that have had their kid locked in a basement or some shit for 13 years. Like, I don't know that I'm explaining this well, but like,
no. Keep going.
I started off wanting to hate this fucking kid so hard.
Me too.
And by the end, I was really conflicted about the whole thing.
It was so hard to separate. Like, we know why he is the way he is now. At the end, we do, but then
that also doesn't excuse.
He's still done what he done. He did what he did, and so that's what's conflicting about it, is because it's. I hate to say, I hate this phrase, not his fault, but it is, but it isn't. You know, it's his fault in that he made those actions, he did those things, but he didn't know any better because he never had that.
And you can't do better till you know better.
Right. And so how do you learn to be human if you don't have humans to teach you?
Right. And you think about, like, kids learn about like social faux pas, right? That all of that, how to interact with other people from birth.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
They're soaking all of that in and seeing examples in different scenarios and like.
Right. And then so if they still come out fucked up, it's at some point I'm struggling over
It's hard.
I'm struggling over my words too, because I'm like, okay, at some point, when is it not the parents' fault anymore, and when is it their fault now?
Right.
Because we can't blame a grown man at some point, because these kids, they're treated this way, or they don't learn the proper social behavior. They grow up to be adults, but at what point does it stop being the parents' fault back then, and that now,
and as long as
adult,
that person is capable, now that his responsibility.
That adult is, but then if you never learn it,
right? Yeah, it's just he was trying to learn the stuff that you learn from birth,
kindergarten, and
5
stuff,
or whatever,
being around other little kids. Yeah.
And at 17 years old or whatever, and all in a very short period of time.
And having these intense emotions and not knowing what to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's another story here that I think was like way ahead of its times. And it comes up strong in that final conversation between Kirk and Jambi.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's about helping developmentally delayed people, for whatever reason, fit into society. Or maybe a better way to approach that would be that how can society better adapt to create space for people who don't fit in, right?
Right.
But then my brain just opened up.
It was the weed. It had to be the weed.
I had a moment. And I started thinking about it in the context of like rehabilitation, and how in maybe this is only marginally tethered to, but I don't know. But Kirk is like, isn't there any way we can help this kid back into our society?
Right. He did want to help.
And I thought of felons and the way, like, the shit way that we have, and sorry, this is going to be a bit of a rant. Strap in.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
But the way that our system in the U.S. is basically like 100% punitive and 0% rehabilitative. We just lock people the fuck away to get them out of polite society so they won't be a problem anymore.
Right.
But we never make an effort to bring them back.
Right.
And
because when they get out, they're like, here, you're out.
That's
boom.
Exactly.
And they can't function in that society because they've been either in for so long, or they, they, because of our laws, we restrict them from being able to do stuff anyway.
Yep.
So they can't get a job.
We give them no tools.
You can't get a job because now you're a felon or whatever.
Yep.
Or not a good job. So
let me give you a scenario example. And this is a really hot take and people disagree with me.
Okay.
But so there are people who are attracted to children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we've studied it enough to know where that comes from.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But like extrapolating based on my limited understanding of like the science that we have on romantic and sexual attraction, right? Like we know that if you're attracted to dudes, you're attracted to dudes, and if you're attracted to not dudes, like
I feel like that's
hardwired.
That's biology,
right?
It's just DNA.
So I think it's safe to say that it's probably mostly biology, right? It's almost all nature and not at all nurture.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So we have these people who are adults attracted to children. And we've decided as a society that children aren't developed enough to consent.
Right.
I agree.
There
is a power dynamic involved between an adult and a child. I agree. And so what we've done is demonize people who have attractions to children. And I think that's demonizing them for something they have no control over. Because I do believe that it's
okay.
It's a hardwired thing.
Never thought of it that way.
Okay, so
good point.
There's a lot to unpack here, right? So if somebody never acts on those feelings, great,
right?
And nobody probably ever knows,
right?
But once somebody acts on those feelings and a child has been harmed, we lock them away and put them on a registry,
right?
Have we done anything substantial to try to reintegrate them back into society once they've served their time? And should we? Okay, so then my next step is into the theoretical. Imagine we eventually develop a method to determine who among us, whatever it is, has that whatever, right? To have that attraction. Now we can determine, we can run scan. I don't know, maybe it's a specific gene or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be. Who knows?
And knowing us today, I feel like we would probably forcefully identify all of those people and proactively lock them away.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And I'm not arguing for that.
No.
Right? Because again,
that's where it gets
these
dangerous.
are humans.
That's
this is the problem. Like, as a humanist, and this is where I get in disagreements, right? That is also a human.
Yeah.
That I care about. And as a humanist, I want to help that person not harm a child.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The end.
I mean, I suppose they don't want to do it either.
Right.
Like in most cases.
Right. Again, if they can't control it, if it is something innate.
Right.
So then imagine, not only do we develop a method to detect who has this, whatever it is, but a means to turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
Gene editing or whatever. So there are so many ethical questions here. Do we start mandatory screening for infants?
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
If we know what this it's a gene, I can do a genetic test on your baby.
Yeah.
Should we do it? And should it be mandatory or voluntary? Would the treatment be voluntary, or would we force people to get this treatment to turn off their attraction to children? And this, like, I'm in this mind fuck.
On a real journey there.
I did. And it came back to, because if you do that, if you decide we can identify people and we can cure people and we should.
Mm-hmm. If we can turn off a gene, if we ever get to that point, then we should be able to cure them.
Mm-hmm. And the difference between, is it voluntary or mandatory? I think to get to mandatory, you have to be like a hard line needs of the many people.
Right.
Right. Because this kind of stuff, this comes back to the needs of the many versus the needs of the one.
Right.
Right. The needs of the individual with an attraction to children versus the safety of all of these children that one individual could harm.
Yeah.
The safety of humanity as a species, or at least Colony 5 in the episode here, against the needs of Charlie, the one.
Because they knew he was going to kill them or
So thanks for entertaining my brain on drugs just then.
Yeah, but
that's a lot.
But that's a really, really, really good tangent to go on because, when you humanize someone, we often look at people who do something wrong and they are just, that's a pedophile or whatever.
Yep.
But they are human and there is a reason why they are that way.
And they have dreams and hopes and
just like
fears and probably parents and maybe siblings, and they're just people like us.
Right.
But they have this thing that's different about them. Yeah. And that thing just happens to be
something horrible.
Like it wasn't into anime, it was something horrible.
Right.
That they can't control.
Right. And I think in the past I would be like, I don't care who they are, they did this and they should burn. But they are human. And I literally did a 180 after thinking about how Charlie came to be the way he was. And I'm like, I feel so bad. There's no answer, but I feel terrible for having wanted him dead when he didn't know any better. He really didn't. And so it's quite a conundrum.
This was a
rough.
Deep episode. This was hard.
And again, props to the actor who played Charlie Evans, because that motherfucker was earning his bucks back then.
So good.
Was it you that didn't you tell me he was doing method acting, or I think that was you. That was this
somebody
guy.
Told us that. But yes, it was this guy, yeah. Becca maybe.
Oh yeah, it was Becca. Becca in her research.
Yes.
This guy, what's his name?
Robert Walker.
Robert Walker.
Robert Walker Jr.
He went totally method on his portrayal of Charlie X. I think Becca said that he, on the set, would lock himself in a trailer and really wouldn't
interact with everybody else.
Interact with the rest of the crew. And then when he did, it was just this evil boy.
If that approach contributed to the way this episode felt, bravo.
Fucking oh.
Like,
because,
God.
That was awful. He was awful. I hated him.
Yep.
But then I understood him. And then I still hated him. And I hated the situation. And it wasn't his fault. And it was so many feelings.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this episode, again, thanks for entertaining that tangent. If you don't want to hear my side of that, then you can just send your hate mail to podcast@humanisttrek.com. But this is the kind of shit that I think about. But on this episode, I feel like we sided with the needs of the many over the needs of the one, right? So what about Charlie? We're sending him back to be with these people, and that's going to potentially protect
a lot
countless
of
people that he could zap away.
But what about
Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't. Is it enough that the Thasians will take care of him? Or is that like a life sentence in prison?
I think it's Charlie was
like
terrified
we've removed
to go.
him from the universe. He's not going to be a problem if we put him in this.
Right. He was terrified to go, first of all. And then he escaped in the first place. So apparently, it wasn't a good place for him to be. He had human needs of like emotion and love. And that was what I think drove him to escape.
Yep.
And I don't know. There are no answers here, people.
This one was tough.
This one was tough, yeah.
Something wrong, Captain?
Who are you? Where do you come from?
Have you noted evidence of unusual powers? What is it that powers your vessel, Captain?
Is there anything else? Modern people have to call inanimate objects she.
That is a very intriguing question.
All right, so we're going to bring Becca back in for our little game segment of the show. But first, I thought we'd talk a little bit about Christmas presents, because this came up. We were talking about, what were we doing? We were in bed watching the last of an episode or something for reviewing it, and something at Christmas, something came up.
I don't know what you're about to talk about, but I swear to God, if you leak the cat out of the bag about my Christmas present thing that I'm planning, I'm going to kill you. Okay.
No, but you said, I don't even remember how we got there, but then I said to you, if you see something strange in your...
Oh, that's right. This wasn't in bed. You were in the kitchen. You were doing dishes.
Okay.
This morning or yesterday, and said, don't get angry. And then you went, never mind. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
So go on. What am I not getting angry about, Sarah?
Okay, so listen.
Allie's over in the corner like
I'm over here like, is there about to be a fight? I mean...
There's something that I really, really want.
That's what it was, because I said, don't go buying anything because you're in Christmas zone now.
And I said, it's way too fucking expensive for me to buy.
That's what it had to do with Christmas.
And then you wanted to know what it was. Patreon.com/humanisttrek, because I'm going to need some money for this. I want to buy a replica, actual size, battle ready Batleth.
Oh, yes.
Look at that. Isn't that fucking sick?
Gorgeous. Well,
wouldn't that look great?
On the wall.
Hanging on the wall. Oh, Becca's putting her headphones down and leaving.
No, it's the dog.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
She was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, I would want one of those. They have this like a hand knife.
The Mechleth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you going to put it? Where are you going to put it?
I would hang it right on that wall. I would.
Behind the curtain?
No, behind the curtain. No, I would put extenders that come out.
Okay.
So it hangs in front of the curtain. It gives it a nice little background.
Okay.
And so have you found someone to make this?
You can get them on Etsy. There's a shit ton of metal workers. This particular one is about $1,200.
Holy shit.
Fuck.
Sarah, you're going to need to start hooking on Colfax.
You
for that kind of
probably fire up what do you call those things that melt metal and make it cheaper than that. So
I mean, that's a valid job.
Here's another
Sex
one.
Workers are
right, of course.
I didn't mean anything by it, but you're going to need that kind of money is what I'm saying.
Here's another one on Etsy for $409.
Okay.
That's a little better. It just depends on there's probably craftsmanship things.
Yeah,
sure.
Like this one that I was looking at that's $1,200, there are options of like Do you want it to be polished or not? And do you want it to be like sharp or dull?
Do you still want bloodstains on it?
Dull. Hell no. Listen, I have. Hang on. Where is it?
It needs to be dull, Sarah. It needs to be dull.
You just wait for it. She's about to pull something out of the closet.
I have like 3 samurai swords, but they're dull.
That thing is heavy,
Or
too.
I could get it a little stand to put it on and
I
put
like
it right
the
back
big one
here.
better.
No, I mean like I could get a stand like that.
Oh, okay.
Not that. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think hanging on the wall would be
I think it would be really cool.
Yeah, I think you're right. It come out from,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These are my dreams, damn it.
I'm worried about your dreams now.
We have a name for our segment now.
Yay.
We're going to call this the Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge.
Woohoo.
I have to find some good music to put in with that.
I like it.
I like it.
So, as you know, the Starfleet Academy Cadet Challenge, Becca comes in. She's going to ask us a question. We're going to have to answer it. And then next week, we'll find out whether we were right or not and get the next episode's question.
What was the question for Charlie X?
There was a cameo appearance in this episode. Who was it, and why was this such a special event?
And we have no idea.
I have no idea.
What is it?
And I think I said
Who
that.
is it?
I think I said that
Floating
it was
head.
one of the 3 characters. The captain and the first officer of the Antares. I didn't even look at them hardly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the floating head Thasian guy at the end.
All right.
So I don't know.
Okay,
It was
what's the
none
answer?
of them.
Oh.
Fuck. All right.
The galley chef
Oh, for fuck's sake.
was voiced by Gene Roddenberry.
What?
Oh.
This would be his only acting role in the series.
No shit. I had no idea.
No.
No.
Man, you're good.
Well, she has Google.
Yes.
To
I
be
mean,
fair.
But I know, but to find these obscure
Yeah.
questions
Obscure
and
is
facts,
hard.
This is going to get real hard when you get to the next gen. And
Yeah.
we know our shit.
I know.
Yeah, I do. Okay.
Well, then I'm not going to have any mercy because
Man.
I thought about giving you like multiple choice. And I went, no, I'm not making it easy.
No, don't do that.
Make us work.
Yep.
We're going to get the question now for Where No Man Has Gone Before.
What unpredictable chaos ensued on the set during the filming of this episode?
What unpredictable chaos behind the scenes?
Okay,
Yes.
so was there like a writer's strike?
Unpredictable.
Or there's
Did they have those in the 60s? I mean,
I don't. I feel like there was a something that I watched. They had a writer's strike was a problem.
trying to think of.
I mean, we talk about the. We were just chatting about the contact lenses Homeboy had to wear. Was that this episode? Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Where no man has come
before.
before.
Yeah. Something to do with that, maybe?
No. Probably. Maybe the fight scene or. But
It's behind the scenes. I'm gonna say there was a strike of some kind.
Okay.
Production, writers, something. That's my answer.
I'm
Really have
gonna.
no idea, though.
Yeah, I have no clue, so I'm gonna make something up. Maybe it was the contact lenses. I have no idea.
Okay, so we have our answers. We'll come back next week and find out whether we got it right or not. All right, so we want you to play along with us. Don't cheat. Don't go to the Google. Don't look it up. Just off the top of your head, what do you think it is, if you know, or make up something funny to give us a laugh.
Oh yeah.
Read your funny answers.
We love funny.
Right. So go to the social media, tweet out your answer, tag us. You can use the hashtag Starfleet Challenge, and we'll pick a winner. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the first person who gets it right or whatever. It could be the funniest. It could be, just
We'll
something
pick a
that
favorite.
We'll pick our favorite. Yeah, exactly. And then I would love to kind of come up with some fun little merch idea. So maybe we'll have that, have a little sticker or something we can send you. So anyway, we'll figure that out. Otherwise, you'll just, you'll go down in infamy as the person who, exactly.
Bragging rights.
Right. Now we need to honor the dead.
We're going to honor the dead Today on this episode, we had 20 poor, unsuspecting Antares crew that probably wish they'd never laid eyes on Charlie. But they blew up, and they're floating around in space right now. So rest in peace to the crew of the Antares.
And we can't count Janice because she came back.
Yeah, or Sam. Everybody else came back, and I'm assuming the poor yeoman turned back into a human from a lizard.
From the iguana, yeah.
That was really fucked up. I did laugh hard at that when he turned her into an iguana.
Yep.
But yeah, so rest in peace for the Antares. They are not coming back.
All right. Well, then we want to thank our patrons. So we have launched our Patreon to help support the show. There are a lot of great ways that you can help support the show here. You can share the show with your friends on the socials. That's a great way to get it out there. You can take your IRL friends for a 1 hour drive or hour and a half, I guess, and force them to listen to our episode. Anything that helps us reach more people, though, please. And one of the great ways to support our effort here and have a little fun, creative gig, hang out with my friend and be geeky, but maybe introduce some more people to humanism and the values is to give us your Gold Press Latinum by becoming a patron of the show. Patrons get early access to every episode, and we're working on some cool merch ideas to maybe do.
Yeah.
So ideas for patrons. So that can't come to life until there's more of you. So head on over to patreon.com/humanisttrek. Pledge as little as $3 a month. It'll go a long way to support the production of the show and my unemployed ass. This week, we need to give a hearty kapla to Julie and Conrad. Thank you so much for being our very first patrons. And these are friends from back in Florida, but they've always got my back, and it really means a lot. So thank you. Next time on Humanist Trek, Season 1, Episode 4, Where No Man Has Gone Before. While exploring the energy barrier at Galaxy's Edge that crippled an earlier ship, Kirk's longtime friend and crewmate, Gary Mitchell, begins mutating into a godlike entity disdainful of the mortals around him.
Oh, boy.
So we'll watch that next week. Come on back and see us then.
Live long and prosper.
Kapla!
Kapla!
Humanist Trek is available wherever you replicate your podcasts. Follow us on all the social medias at Humanist Trek. Become a patron at patreon.com/humanisttrek. Open hailing frequencies to podcast@humanisttrek.com and visit our website, humanisttrek.com.